Welcome. Today I'm joined by Coach Ash Morgan. Hello, Ash.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm very good. And I've asked you to join me here so we can talk about the biggest mistakes we've made in tournaments. And more to the point, what other people can learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a funny one. It's going to be good as well.
So, the number one mistake I've made throughout my career, only in a couple of times, but when it happens, destroys your day, aiming and shooting at the wrong target.
Oh, yeah. That's
Because
going to.
throughout my entire coaching career, this happens so often. It's nothing more heartbreaking than seeing someone on the verge of winning a match and then you watch the arrow and it just goes into someone else's target. But the bigger the tournament you get to, the more you go into head-to-head matches. You're moving around the field, the background is changing, you're in an unfamiliar place, you're under pressure. I see this so often, and I give a presentation before every day's shooting, just reminding everyone the number one thing: check once, check twice, shoot at the right target. Because most of the time, I hardly get through an entire competition where nobody in the team has made this mistake. Have you made this mistake?
I probably have. I must have because I think people watching will be like, "Oh yeah, shoot at the right target." But honestly, like I've seen like Olympic champions and world champions do this as well, where you think they'd know, and yeah, it just happens to everyone because you're just not paying attention for a second, or maybe the grass on the field is mowed in a way where it kind of looks slightly off to one way compared to the lanes of the target. It's so easy to do. So yeah, definitely always check. I'm pretty sure I've done it maybe more times than I remember because I've just deleted them
Because I do, it
from
sounds
memory.
like that when I first talk to a team about this, they do look at me like I'm like, come on, we're international archers. But then I give them examples of Olympic champions and world champions making these basic fundamental mistakes just because you're under pressure, you're moving around the field. Maybe it's a windy day as well. That certainly doesn't help. And these little mistakes really do ruin your day. I wanted to say just once in my life, a junior event many years ago, I opened up the event with 6 arrows in the wrong target.
the, how are you
But
feeling
then
after
I
that?
heard the judge multiple blow his whistle, and I was like, what's going on? And he made an announcement. This was at a tournament, an international tournament, made an announcement that we were using 2 fields and the athletes on the B field hadn't started their event. So sadly, we needed to change all the score pads and we were going to start the tournament again.
No.
So
How?
I got it. I got away with it. I got to shoot 6 arrows in the wrong target and truly live to fight another day. Most people would think I must have just given the judge a whole bag of money because,
Yeah, you paid off the judges? Did people realize that you shot the wrong target but they couldn't do
oh
anything
yeah, oh
about it?
don't worry, they realised because this
Oh,
was
that's
the second
incredible.
leg of a European Grand Prix, and I assure you, I was defending champion, and the other medalists, they were fully aware I'd put arrows in the wrong time.
Wow. You must have thought all your Christmases had come at once there. You're like, wow, how did
Exactly.
I
I was a
get away with that?
lucky guy. So have you got anything? Hopefully not quite as drastic as
Yeah.
that.
So I guess not too. It's just a drill, but not too dissimilar. Which is I forgot to shoot an end once, which is not ideal because obviously you lose that score. So that's quite obvious. Like most of the time, people can remember to see that they need to shoot. I was just
You would
too
hope.
busy, too busy chatting to someone and completely forgot to shoot a whole end. So don't do that. The more applicable one, I think, is a couple of times I've forgotten to shoot an arrow, and this is really tricky when you're on a target with someone that's got the same knocks as you. Maybe you're looking through the scope and you've all got green. It's always bright green knocks. I don't know why, but everyone's got bright green knocks. You look through the scope, you think you've shot your 6 arrows, and for some reason you've put like the arrow in the other bit of your quiver by accident, and then you get down to the target and there's 5.
Yeah.
So I think the number one thing here for people to take away is if you're really not sure, shoot 7. Then you get the
Yeah.
highest one taken away. At least you've still got 6.
Solid, solid
Is
advice. Absolutely.
yeah, just shoot an extra. Um,
And I'll follow up by
yeah,
saying for nearly all of my career, I'd have a bag of knocks in my quiver a different color because I absolutely hated shooting my arrows and not being 100% certain where they are in the target. To me,
Exactly.
it's a critical part of my feedback. Maybe I stressed about it too much, but I wanted to have adoption. So if someone else is shooting bright green knocks, I can put on my red knocks because I want to know exactly where they are. But you're right. I've seen so many athletes accidentally shoot 5 because maybe they dropped one at the target. That's even worse because then you get a miss for it even if you do shoot 6. Uh, I think that's really solid advice there.
And also the slightly controversial, maybe going on from that. If at a competition you've changed distances and you royally screwed up your sight mark, and the first shot missed the whole target, and then the second shot was like a high black, and then you've just completely screwed up your sight mark. Every so often, you might accidentally shoot a couple more arrows, and then that way you've got your sight mark correct for the next end. You haven't lost any points because you already missed the other ones. So, I wouldn't
Okay,
condone
all
doing that
right.
all the time. But there's a little tactic that some people have taught me.
Obviously, my brain is too squeaky clean to think about something like that, but that
Yeah,
is a very interesting and valid thing. I didn't know where you were going with that one. That's
yeah. I can say that now I don't shoot anymore, but
very
I've
good.
seen multiple different people, yeah, do that, and then I'll be like, okay,
Ah,
yeah, that's the tactic.
okay.
Yeah. So what's your kind of next one that you were thinking?
I guess it comes under the umbrella of be self-sufficient because I was going to a selection shoot. So for me, it would have been one or two of the most important shoots of the year because if you don't perform at the selection shoot, you're not on the team and your season can be over in one day. And I went there with no supplies, no water, no food, because normally the shop is open. I can buy water, I can buy refreshments, I can buy food, and it wasn't.
Oh,
And
they're long selection shoots as well. They're not short
I
days.
suffered. I suffered. I won't lie. I mean, I had to go through the first half of the day with nothing at all, and I was thirsty. So if I'm feeling really thirsty, that was undoubtedly affecting my performance. Then at lunchtime, I was lucky. I had to run off to the local town and go buy supplies. But then I was a little bit flustered, and it was all unnecessary. I could have stopped in the morning. I could have stopped the day before, but I just thought, oh, it'll be okay. And it was a big lesson to me. I was only a youngster at the time, probably maybe even trying out for the senior team one of the first times. But I learned my lesson that you've got to be able to look after yourself, take nothing for granted, because it's your performance. And when you've trained for 6 months to make this team and you're going to lose out because you didn't have a 2 litre bottle of water. Oh,
Yeah, that's definitely,
but I see it, and I
yeah,
see it at internationals as well. Internationals, they always have to supply water, but sometimes they run out. But get your own food. Even if you think the coach might be bringing some fruit and things, take your own supplies. There's nothing like knowing for yourself that you have what you need.
and then you're fine for the whole day, aren't you? If there's extra,
Yeah,
that's bonus, and yeah,
exactly. But I see these sort of mistakes, relying on others too much. Look after yourself because you put so much into these performances. You don't want something stupid just to spoil your day.
yeah, definitely. And I guess that brings us on. My next one was kind of, I don't want to say it's like a strategy, but more like a mental thing, which is thinking a match is over. Whether that's thinking I've already won because the lead is so much and the other
Yeah.
person's not shooting great, or thinking the other person's won because it's 4-0 in the set system, they're shooting really well. And I'm like, okay, they've won already. Either way, you
Either way.
really, really never know. And I think you've got some kind of insight onto that as well, right?
Yeah, my best example is I was shooting an indoor world championship, probably maybe a 1/16 final, maybe a 1/8, I'm not sure, but I was up against the defending indoor and outdoor world champion, D Wild, Rio Wild's father. And obviously top archer, top guy, real world-class performer. And with one end to go, I dropped 2 points. He dropped nothing. And I can tell you, I know that mentally, I felt like the match was done. I was out of it, and I finished on a 29, and the double two-time world champion finished on a 28. And I would never, the chances normally in an entire qualifying round, he'll drop 1 or 2 or 3 points. So the chance of him doing it in one end was nothing.
Yeah.
And in my brain, he wasn't going to do that. He's a 2-time world champion. He's got this under control. But he didn't. He got nervous and he screwed up his last end. And if I was fully focused and I just shot a 30 like I did time after time, I could have then been taken the world champion into a tiebreak, and who knows what had
Anything can
happened.
happen, yeah, on that, yeah.
But I know mentally I just already deep down, I know I'd sort of accepted defeat, and I was, thinking about the trip home,
Yeah.
So you have to stay focused, and it is hard, but so often, especially now of all the years of being a coach watching, we often see the unthinkable happen.
Yeah. And having that last end, because I've had it as well where maybe I've been 4-0 up or 5-1 up, and especially with 5-1 up in the set system, you think like, oh, worst that can happen. I mean, they're not going to win 2 ends, and then even if they do, I've got a shoot off. But it's a dangerous game to play when you're doing that. So the mentality of just, keeping focused on do the best end you can, deliver the best shots you can, and that's
And
that.
it's an easy thing to say, it's an easy thing to tell people, but I know having that true belief inside is something you really have to be disciplined about. It's just so easy to just think about, oh dear, I'm out, so I'm probably going to finish 10th, am I? It's so easy to quit and just go through the motions instead of you have to keep the fight till the end, because you just truly never know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And there was one other thing that came to mind that I kind of forgot about, but I've done this quite a few times, and I've seen a load of people do this as well, which is forgetting to check your bow is tight, your sight, your button, your whatever it is. I mean, I've seen people shooting. I saw one of the team archers shooting a head-to-head against one of the top Ukrainian archers, and no, it wasn't. It was against Frangili. But anyway, they were shooting amazingly. 4-0 up, I think it was, against Frangili. Suddenly, low 5. Next arrow, low 4. And you're like, what's happened? The shots look fine, and you could see they're confused, looking around. Next shot, low 5 again. And then nothing. Go back and collect the arrows, come back, low 5. And just suddenly, and it was just the sight block had come loose. It's just literally, and the group of the arrows in the blue was way better than Frangili's group in 998 or whatever it was. And it was just the sight had come loose. So when something like that happens, just instantly check.
I remember our old Coach Lloyd Brown, someone who's produced Olympic gold medalists, being frustrated one day because, again, he'd spent hours trying to work out why this athlete wasn't grouping very well. And it was something stupid like that. And he was kicking himself because he's like, time and time again, if someone looks like they're shooting well and the group isn't there, he focuses, you're inclined to try and fix the archer. And he says, so often it's just a stupid little mistake. Or the classic is, I've had athletes or myself even struggling to get through the clicker all day. And then I realized that at some point during the day, my bow has been knocked over and my clicker has moved 5 millimeters.
Oh.
Checking the basics you can forget that. We're always looking sometimes for the more complicated, and we're often blaming ourselves when sometimes we need to look a bit further afield.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's actually better to blame the equipment first, check it, and then if it's all fine, then go ahead, see if you're doing something wrong. But rather than convince yourself you're doing something wrong and change something in the middle of a competition, that's definitely more detrimental, isn't it?
It is, and it's some of the reason why I wanted to make this video today, to explain to you. It's easy for us to think, especially the people watching at home, to think world medalists, world Olympic champions don't make mistakes, don't make these fundamental basic things, but they do. And if they're making them, then you can definitely do them. So you need to pay attention so you don't go through the same mistakes and the same pain that we have.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, Ash. Well, thank you very much for this. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.